Hello, everybody. Nice to have you again over here. It's my great pleasure to welcome Lara Mehanna from Why Not Sustainable today. You're with us. Hi, Lara. Nice to have you.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Beautiful as always. So today we have our talk about impact business, how to create an impact business. There is a lot of trends, a lot of buzz around social impact, environmental impact, all sorts of sustainability. Now we have you, a coach, an expert in this, helping companies, SMEs on the way to become more, or more sustainable, less, for example, using plastic, etc. Very,
Sure.
very interesting campaigns that you run
Mhm.
in your business. So would you like to maybe tell us a little bit more in the beginning about you, what you do, what are kind of your key topics, and then let's have a little presentation on today or in
Yeah,
today on this topic. And if
for
you have
sure.
any questions or any comments, just drop it in the chat and can see it.
Cool. Thank you so much, Yana, for the introduction. So, yeah, basically, I do work with SMEs almost exclusively,
Mhm.
mostly because I think, anyways, SMEs have such a great potential in circularity in particular, because when we're talking about circularity, you can say impact, you can say regenerative business, you can say sustainability. So, obviously, there are different nuances, but kind of going in the same direction of how to improve and how to make things really more sustainable, how to take care of our environment, how to take care of being more positive socially. So when we're talking about any of these things, really SMEs, I think, are just such a great place to explore the new systems that we can put in place versus corporations. Because we can test, and this is the most important thing. So you can test things out on a small scale, and then really see how you can improve them, and kind of you have more flexibility. So I think that's probably why I like working so much with SMEs in that regard. Um, yeah, otherwise, today I really want to kind of show, I'm going to give a quick presentation, which is kind of a bit of kind of maybe a teaser or a bit of a like a sneak peek into how I usually run workshops,
Mhm.
courses, even coaching programs. So everything is usually very interactive. You don't just kind of look at circularity from a distance, you really interact with it, you
Mhm.
apply it right away. So there are a lot of examples and examples of businesses that are kind of what they're doing around us right now, what can be improved, what they're doing well. So these are kind of the things that generally do.
Superb. So we love to hear definitely more about it. I mean, you mentioned we have a lot of discussions now happening around
Hmm.
sustainable or regeneration. Then you have impact business. So it's a little bit confusing at times. I mean, we love to, maybe also get more clarity on that,
Oh yeah,
where
for sure.
what are the approaches. And you have certainly some more tips on that. So let us share the presentation
Yeah, for
first.
sure. Okay, so I think so. This is something that I really like to work on, kind of in most of the, I guess, in my workshops and my courses. Just this is something that I always touch up on, especially in the beginning of the courses. So, considering if a product or service kind of qualifies to be on the market today, why am I asking this? So, if you look at kind of the way linear economy worked, you're very much convenience and profit oriented, right? So the environmental and the social factors were kind of just these additions that will happen if you're doing kind of like something charitable. But now we know that the market really needs this environmental and social factor being they're now key contenders, right? So when I ask, does my product or service qualify to be on the market today? I'm asking, is it fulfilling the customer's need, but is it also fulfilling the environmental and the social needs that are kind of available right now? So this is a question that I like to ask. So if you are when you're watching this video, or whoever is involved right now, kind of consider that if you run your own business, or you work in an office, you're a sustainability professional or any kind of professional, consider how is your product or service really benefiting the environment and society. And to do so, I kind of also think about fulfilling function. And here I kind of just have these ways of this way of explaining it, just kind of to make it a bit easier, and especially around the term of regeneration. We're hearing it a lot. And of course, like you said, Jana, there are kind of different ways of approaching how to make things more sustainable. And we're hearing all of these words: impact, circularity. So we can talk about that maybe later, but especially when it comes to regenerative, I think this might be here an interesting way to approach it. So I think about fulfilling function, what my product or service is fulfilling. I think of a direct function. Like, for example, think of a toothbrush, right? So we know toothbrushes are very difficult to recycle, virtually not recyclable. And let's say you have an innovation, or we're seeing right now a lot on the market, bamboo toothbrushes. So here, a bamboo toothbrush, for example, is performing its direct function, which is keeping people's teeth clean, right? And also what it's doing is kind of applying more circular principles so that we know that it's decreasing at least the negative impact that is caused by the plastic toothbrush. And this is also something that we work on a lot. So how to remove plastic from our businesses. So at Why Not Sustainable. But anyways, more on that at some other point. So you're performing this direct function, and you're kind of minimizing the negative impact if you're, let's say, moving to bamboo, which is also arguable. And let's say you've removed the negative impact of the plastic, but you still have the plastic bristles, right? So those cannot be recycled. Now, I'm going to consider, I want to give you kind of a new function that you can consider, which is, I call it kind of like a cleaning factor. And this is more the regenerative factor. So what do I mean by that? Consider, so you put out this product on the market, and not only is it performing the direct function, it's actually, by doing its business activity, cleaning its surroundings, right? So improving a environmental situation or a social situation. I'll give an example. So let's consider let's say you want to make an appliance. And here the most commonly used material is plastic, right? So maybe you consider that you want to make a positive impact with this product, and you decide, okay, I'm only going to use salvaged ocean plastics. So you are, by just doing your business activity, you're actually cleaning, right, something in the environment that's damaged. So you're cleaning this and you're turning it into a new product. And you have to be very careful here that the product that you're going to turn it into has to, of course, not return, to the same, not go back into the same problem that you initially started to clean up, to fix, right? So of course it has to be a product that maybe you have a clear end of life scheme. So you either take it back, you make sure that it just does not end up in landfill or in the ocean again. Right. So an example, a business that's actually doing that, that's starting to do that, is Grundig. And so, but this is also arguable. Because so when we consider how plastics in the ocean can actually be recycled, and what they can be recycled into, this is also, it has a bit of argument around it. But you can also look at Patagonia, for example, using regenerative cotton. So by performing their business, they are improving the situation in the fashion industry. So improving how cotton is grown, because it's grown with a lot of pesticide, a lot of fertilizer, and it consumes a lot of water. So having more regenerative practices there improves also the social situation of the workers, right? And then services as well can be regenerative. So think of Ecosia, for example, which is a search engine. Every time you use it, it plants trees on your behalf. So it can improve a situation of, let's say, desertification. But of course, we need to be careful with how trees are planted. So you can follow how they do this if you're interested. I also think at Why Not Sustainable, in my business, that we're performing something also that's regenerative, because anytime we help a client improve their business, we are kind of helping businesses become more circular and really cleaning up the messes that are around. Jana, if you have any comments, maybe you'd like to jump in before we continue. Oh, okay, sorry. All right, so To do this actually, so like I said, in a lot of our courses, workshops, everything that we do, we really use kind of examples that are around us. So today I will use two examples to explore these functions. And these examples are two kind of very different businesses, but both kind of talking about how they're, that they're performing better in a circularly, let's say. So one of them is called Caffeeform. And Caffeeform, I will put the links in the chat, so maybe they will be available for you also to take a look at. So we have Caffeeform. And then we also have Maybelline that has made a new mascara that is called the Green Edition Mascara. So you can also take a look at their website. So maybe we won't do the full session today, but just so you can get an idea, and you can actually follow this and do the exercise right now. Okay, so
Super, super. So we just had, also these comments and the links added to for all the people to follow in the session, because they can be kind of passively engaged. That they
right.
submit these comments, etc. But there was also a moment when you were asking. Sorry to interrupt you before we go into this product design,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's
no,
very
I
interesting.
definitely.
Or the coffee cups, if I'm not mistaken. So, what is the biggest challenge for SMEs to kind of get on this journey to become sustainable or regenerative? We know regeneration is part of sustainability. If you do not kind of give back or take less, so that there is the capacity still to recover, to replenish, then basically you're in a losing game. You are on the wrong side. So what is the biggest part for SMEs? I mean, they come to you, maybe you have a kind of sample business case of a partner or client you work with, and how did you, or kind of what would be the journey to help them overcome
I
this?
think I think one of the biggest challenges is sourcing, right? So there's a big issue I think with sourcing. So you have these great ideas. Honestly, I don't think there are that many obstacles. I think if you want to set up a business that's sustainable, you just kind of go at it just the same way you set up a regular business. You just go at it. There are obstacles for any business to start, right? However, one of I think the key issues that I find that need the most work is sourcing. So especially if you're a product-based business, how do I source materials that are actually sustainable, especially when it comes to plastic? Finding plastic alternatives seems to be a very big blockage that, like, okay, I don't know what to do. And the key way to go around this is changing business models. Really, the business model is one of, I think, your biggest allies in how you avoid this kind of single use, kind of very, material demanding kind of way of doing business. So here I'm talking about if you're let's say using single use items, or you're thinking about packaging, think about refills, think about return schemes. And also these kinds of business models, they create a very, like, they enhance the relationship you have with your customer. So it's something that you can really play on, especially as a small business. So I think, like I said, the one of the biggest challenges is really sourcing materials that are not harmful, sourcing products that are not harmful to the environment and socially.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I think Cafe Forum have done kind of a really cool thing, which is why I use them as an example. I always use them as an example, actually. They've taken, I'll go through this bit of the presentation, and definitely we can have a discussion about this. But basically, so here we're exploring function. So like I said, we have that direct function, and then we have that cleaning sort of regenerative function that we're talking about. And I have these series of questions here that I talk about. So what is their direct function? If we talk about Form, if we talk about Maybelline Cosmetics, this green mascara edition, you have the links in the chat so you can take a look at their website. You can take a look at how they're presenting their product, what they're using, materials, right? So how they're presenting. So what is their direct function? What are they made of? How do they behave environmentally and socially during use? Right? So how are they performing while you're using them? What can the customer do with them when they no longer have use for them? So this is also something important. So this is the end of use. And then of course, the end of the life cycle. So once you're done with this product, what can you do with it? So the way we do this exercise is you kind of take a few minutes and you kind of go through the website and you understand a bit more. You kind of analyze these products, and we get back to kind of answering the questions. So yeah, I mean, if you want, we can do maybe 2 or 3 of these questions, Yana, so that we
Let's
can do
go.
them
Let's
together
go.
if you'd like.
Mhm.
And then maybe we can touch up on some of the areas that we would usually touch up on
Mhm.
in circularity here. So, what's your favorite question to answer? Let's see. Start
I'm
here.
just reading through that.
Mm-hmm.
What are they made of? So this is also quite an kind of
Mm-hmm.
interesting and mhm.
Okay, so let's start
What?
with that.
Mhm.
So if we look at Maybelline Cosmetics, the Green Edition mascara, right? So
Mhm.
what is it made of? So we see they have a package made with recycled and new materials. So here they're telling us that the packaging is no longer just made from virgin plastics. Um, so this is something that they are saying that they've improved. And they say here that they have a minimum of 70% of natural origin ingredients,
Mhm.
right? So they're saying clean formulas, vegan formulas. So this is kind of how they're presenting. Do you have any question marks over any of these issues? What do you like? What don't you like?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, this pack made with a mix of recycled and new materials, that's kind of unfortunately unavoidable because you always kind of, that's the same with water, you always blend in new fresh material because the old one is not 100%. Maybe the performance, or we need more studies on that. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, this is the kind of thing that for me it's like, I mean, there's always the question mark. I mean, can it be recyclable? Is it compostable? Why is it blended? Most of the time, if you have a blend of materials, we had it last time with textiles, you then are out of the game for composting. So basically, then that's done there. So the question
Mm-hmm.
would be, so this is my element. Vegan
Mm-hmm.
formulas, okay. I mean, also quite kind of interesting that there are no like animal products being used, whatever the benefit that is. I can imagine, some oils, I mean, of plants, and oils of, for example, eye egg, etc., can be very beneficial. You have it for hair, you have it for lashes, for
Mm-hmm.
nails. So it's quite an interesting, comparison, and having this eye on vegan formulas. Why is it so important, or what would be
Mm-hmm.
the benefit? Minimum of 70% origin ingredients. That is also kind of natural origin ingredients. That means
Yes.
they're not manufactured in lab, or it's not chemical, or it's
Yeah, I suppose here they're really trying to work on, because there's a lot of complaints, and anyways, we have reports saying that there are toxic chemicals in cosmetics that cause disruptions to our health, right? Um, so here, when you say kind of the natural ingredient, over 70% are come from natural ingredients or origin. Maybe you feel more secure that you're not putting in any toxic chemicals into or on your body. So I suppose this is the allure of it.
and
Yeah.
one thing that is always kind of interesting for us. You mentioned also in the business model
Mhm.
part. What can the
Yeah,
customer do when this item can no longer perform its direct function? Doing the eyelash.
exactly.
What happens afterwards? Do you know?
They don't tell us. They don't
They
give us
don't tell
any, so
us. They
they
don't
don't
tell
tell
us.
us.
As
So
great
this
as,
is,
yeah, it's as great as the product is. Is this already greenwashing, or is it like borderline, or how? What do you think as a business
so the
owner
thing,
for businesses?
so what I want from this really, I mean, what can we improve, right? So obviously, like when you compare it to Cafe Form, if you go on their website,
Mhm,
they actually don't present you either with a thing that you can do at the end of the life cycle. However, when we'll get to it in a minute, but
mhm,
the actual cup can last up to 10 years. So it's a very durable material. And then what happens is that you can keep on using it, let's say for 10 years. And then what happens is that they are working, at least they tell you that they're working on a collection scheme, right? So they're working on how to actually collect these cups and to recycle them at their
mhm,
own facilities. So there's a difference, a big difference in the way they interact here. At least they're giving you this information. So of course, Maybelline, this is a great step that they're doing something different, but when the function of this exercise really is to help you assess also your business. So when, if you're a product-based business, consider
mhm,
if you're using recyclable materials and you're not giving information to the consumer, to the customer, what are they going to do with this product afterwards? Then really there's not, I mean, you can probably improve that, right? And
mhm,
particularly when it comes to plastic, and like you were saying, so okay, a percentage of that is virgin material, a percentage of that is recycled. We also know that recycled plastic really leaches more chemicals into anything that it comes into contact with. So here I would be very much interested in moving away from plastic. And how do we move away from plastic? In a way that, especially for small businesses, think about refills, think about kind of really moving away from this. Um, think about a different business model. How can you have a different relationship with your customer, not just kind of depend on a material that's going to be thrown away?
mm. I really, maybe just to enhance your point. Recently,
Hmm.
also, we are at a Frogeex talk, so everything is somehow about ecology. I mean, it's quite apparent, refrigeration,
Hmm.
sustainable
Yeah.
goals that we talk here, but we always come back to that part. So
Hmm.
uh, what I found also interesting is, as you say, this business or product innovation that
Hmm.
this then turns into, and some of that is really like known or rediscovered or something. We have many times the thing, it has been here, then it's forgotten 400 years ago. Now we have it again or something. And
Hmm.
this you mentioned also toothbrush. So I
Hmm.
always found the interesting part also with the toothpaste. You have all these kind of containers, these tubes that are very hard to recycle. They're already contaminated. You need to wash them. I mean, how can we replace them with something that is more efficient, more functional? Have this
So
maybe
many examples on the market right now. So many examples. You
tell us.
have, yeah. So, and this is also, think about, so there are aspects that are design related and aspects that are business model related. So think about, when you think about design, it's so simple to kind of say, okay, and this is with shampoo, with a lot of cleaning, with detergents, cosmetics. You can, so anything that contains water that you really don't need to transport with water, right? So with toothpaste, you have the toothpaste tablets now that
Mhm,
are becoming a thing. So the toothpaste tablet, what you're doing basically is saving up on water in transportation. So the weight of the product is less, it takes up less space. It can be packaged in packaging that really does not need plastic anymore, because plastic is there to contain water, right? Because you
mhm,
don't want it to, move in and out. So once you change the format, right, you can
mhm,
actually transport it a lot more easily. And this is a design aspect. Now, if you look at there are quite a few examples out there. I can share them maybe later. I have them saved somewhere. But there are companies that are really doing this as a membership. And this here again is business model. So you have a membership where you pay a monthly fee, a subscription, right? So you have a subscription every 4 months. They bring you a refill automatically, and that's supposed to last you for the 4 months. So you're no longer wasting anything to do with packaging. And this is a lot more feasible for small businesses. And I'll show you why also in the example of Cafe Form. Um, just because it's more centralized. Okay, so when you think about returning a package, right, to a company,
Mhm.
how long is this package traveling? Like, where does it need to go to? And if we're all doing that, so centralized and kind of centralizing this and making it more local is actually a lot more sustainable.
Mhm.
And yeah, like I will share that also, like I said, here in Cafe Forum. One more thing, sorry, that I want to mention here is the minimum 70% natural origin ingredients. This is also something interesting. How are these? So they don't tell us how these ingredients are actually harvested, or how are they processed? Like, where do they come from? Are they
Mhm.
coming from a sustainable source? Are
Mhm.
they coming? Are we damaging any environment to actually take these natural materials? So
Mhm.
this is also information that I would like to have. So if you have a business and you are sourcing natural materials, do tell us how and why, right?
Mhm.
So this is just information that you don't find on the Maybelline website.
So a big profit tip to avoid greenwashing, and we are all impacted, all, no exception. Believe me. Give the details. Give the details. Be transparent. If it doesn't work, tell it's not working and that you're on the way or you're developing a plan. But just
Exactly.
be transparent. Tell the truth, because the consumers will really appreciate that. At least you share, what's really happening with the product before or after.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, so Cafe Form, if you go on their website, you'll see their direct function. Their direct function actually has, like, they have a double function here, because so by using Cafe Form, the cup, you're actually having a regenerative function as well, because you're avoiding the use of the disposable cup, right? And
Mhm.
I have the it's 20,000 disposable cups go to waste per hour in Berlin alone, and they're a Berlin-based company, right?
Wow.
Um, so this is somewhere that's local. They function in Berlin. What they do is, I didn't give an overview yet, but they basically take coffee grounds that have already been used. They collect them from the cafes, and they
Mhm.
turn this used coffee ground into a new material that's durable, and they're making the coffee cups out of it. And now they've started to make different products out of it. So they're taking something that's essentially, either, I mean, it can go and become fertilizer. It can be composted, right? But they're taking something that is discarded, and they're turning it into a new product that's durable.
Mhm.
So,
Um,
yeah.
mhm. If I may have a question, do you have information on? Okay, you mentioned there are this collections schemes in under development,
Mhm.
but do they intend or aspire to have basically a product that is durable enough for, I don't know, 10 years? It's coming out of a natural source material like coffee.
Mhm.
It's nature, as you mentioned, could be a fertilizer on its own already after making your coffee or whatever, using it,
Mhm.
and creating a material that is durable enough for 10 years to kind of serve, be water resistant, as what we do over here with the cup, and then
Mhm.
afterwards still be compostable? Or are there like mixtures that
So,
would kind of inhibit that, or kind of not
so
enable
they
that?
give information. They give information on this. Their product is not compostable, right? But they can actually recycle it at their own facilities. However,
Hmm.
now they say that they're working on um, having a collection system. So because they are kind of local, that might actually be possible. So they're working it out. They don't have a plan for it. So at the moment, what they're doing is they're helping people avoid the
Take
giant
away
number of
disposable.
takeaway cups that are being used. Okay. This is one of their biggest functions, and they're creating this cup that basically it's a circular input. So they're not using any new material. They're taking something that might end up in landfill if it's not, because especially in cities, like, I mean, where I live, I don't have a collection system for my compost. I like prepare it at home, and I have nowhere to take it, right? So it's just like, what do I do with this? Right.
Hmm.
So I think this is the case for so many places. Um,
Hmm.
I don't have a figure here, but yeah, I don't include this figure in here, but yeah, I'd love to like research it and see like which cities actually offer a composting option
Hmm.
for households. I don't know. Around you, do you have that option, Yana?
For
I think
sure.
Switzerland. Yeah, Switzerland is a bit more advanced in that.
Yeah, I mean, you have always room for improvement. I think that's all the
Mhm.
time with sustainability, but
Mhm.
yeah, so that's one thing. And because we are also kind of running out of time, let's do a little bit of extra time for today because we had some points that we still wanted to cover, which
Mhm.
was also the priorities in a regenerative business. So, what would be the priorities that you would say, hey, this is what you need to do, whatever, if you don't do the 20 other stuff, okay, forget about them, focus on this ones first for the first year,
Right.
or I don't know what.
So if you look at all of these questions really are the priorities. Okay, so think about, so anyways, the priorities really are the social and the environmental. So before, when you think about the linear economy, the priorities were very much the profit and convenience. Okay,
Hmm.
so how can I make the most profit by providing the most convenience for people? So I'm
Hmm.
also taking down prices, trying to deliver things at the lowest price possible. So that is where lots of social problems have happened. So really, your priorities in in any kind of sustainable impact, regenerative, circular business, your priorities are the environmental, the social, and the financial. So without the financial, obviously, you're not a success. Um, this is basically it. So if you follow, for example, these questions, you'll find that all of the priorities are in here, right? So what is their direct function? What are they? How's it performing? Does it have a regenerative function? Is it cleaning from around it? Is it improving the situation around it socially, environmentally? What is it made of? Where are these materials coming from? How do they behave environmentally during use, after use, right? So all of these things I think are just very important. I think the thing that I don't include here is more the social factors, but it's definitely implied, in discussion, it's definitely implied.
And you also made a point, I mean, you help businesses, we talk about business, it's a lot of business involves profit or money.
Yes.
One of the last points that we have is also how to make money, the yeah, making, how do you make a profit in such approaches, or product solutions. What would you like to share with the audience on this one?
Right. So I don't know about this, but like, I don't know if you noticed that in university courses, I noticed that whenever students come in, um, there's a big majority of them that's going towards nonprofit, especially if they're environmental or social. There's
Hmm.
this kind of this concept that if you're going to be performing positively, environmentally or socially, you're not supposed to be making a lot of money. I disagree. Make a lot of money. The more money, the better, because it's a tool, right?
Okay.
So it gives you a
Yeah.
tool. Of
Hmm.
course, making your money has to be. You can't be abusing, you know, resources to make that money. Um, but a sustainable business is a business, right? At the end of the day, it's a business. You're offering a service or a product, and you need money in return to sustain it and to, you know, it's a business. So it's important to kind of keep that, as a central factor that yes, it's a business. Like I was saying, business models are key, I think, for sustainable for anyone that wants to perform better, um, socially and environmentally. Work on your business model because you're competing in a linear economy still, right? So you have to kind of figure out ways, especially when it comes to materials. How are you going to move away from the single use, from the, big kind of like, I need to buy hundreds of this versus I need to buy two or three of this, right? So think about your business model a lot more. And profit is so important. Profit is very important.
So
Uh,
yeah,
is there anything you'd like to add in particular about profit? Because I mean, it's a topic that we can talk about so much in circular economy as well.
yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, as also a co-founder of a business unit, we are also not an NGO, though I
Hmm.
recognize, foundations and all this charity work, and I love it, and
Hmm.
NGOs and what you have, but um, I mean, business is essentially also about that, or what I see behind that is also being able to provide for the people working in the business. You provide for of course, fair conditions, of
Of
course,
course.
That's an element to work with, and yeah, the impacts that you create for the community around you. So yeah, that's something what I see behind that. But
Absolutely.
yeah, I also fully agree that there is a lot of the times really this perception of an ecological business, or if we're sustainable, we're not supposed to make money. So it's a very interesting point that you mentioned. But yeah, I
Yeah,
also agree to that point that it's the mission or the action which you take with the money that you earn.
for
So
sure.
we
For
have
sure.
all of the world a lack of financing for so many problems that we have in the community. So
Hmm.
yeah, if I still believe, maybe it's a little bit idealistic to believe in, still being able to create the solutions, creating the cycles, because we as a species we are quite smart sometimes not really, or one would
Yeah.
not believe it, but we are capable of doing, still knowing some facts.
Yeah.
But I still believe in that. So yeah, that we can do better, we can do much
Yeah,
better.
for sure. For sure. For sure. Yeah. Yeah, just like a circular business, regenerative business, impact business, sustainable business is a business. We need to really focus on how to make it sustainable and how to bring in the profit at the same time. Really need to study that all together. So this is a topic by itself. I think so the list of things that you have in the session. So this is a sample of one of the regenerative business sessions, which is also very similar to the impact business course. So they're just one of them is just a more advanced version.
Mhm,
Just in the sessions, we usually cover all of these
mhm.
points, right? So when you have a full session, this is what we are usually talking about. Um, so yeah, I just wanted
So
to mention that.
mhm. Lara, so
Mhm.
in your sessions, I mean, we also, highly recommend, of course, whoever is in the need to kind of discuss or review their concept. I mean, you have the details, Lara, and why not sustainable is, of course, also part of the community at Frogeex. So you are
Mhm.
more than welcome to visit the website, explore their offering. And so defining a business model, or reinventing the business model, innovating it. It's also
Mhm.
part of your workshop. This is also what you help with, to kind of really identify, this is what we can do, this is what we can kind of replace the material eventually with, etc. This is what you can help people with.
Absolutely. So I can help people with different things. So designing out waste is, like when you're starting like I said, when you're starting a business, or even if you have a business right now, especially if you're an SME, you have this flexibility of being able to change things. And people think that it takes a lot of investment. Sometimes you're majorly reducing your costs because you stop doing behaviors that are unsustainable. So there are a lot of behaviors in our businesses that are costly. This is a whole other session, and I
Mm,
would love to give this session with a lot of figures, because there are a lot of statistics here that kind of show you that when you go sustainable, you're actually reducing cost. You're not increasing cost if you do it well, right? There's just a lot of misconceptions around this. Um, there are a lot of business behaviors that we do. That we don't need to do anymore. And I'll just give a quick example here. When you personally start to like in your like just your day to day, think about it. If you've gone a bit more sustainable, just think about how many things you've stopped using. And this is just and you the same thing applies to businesses. I mean, I think I've saved a giant amount of cost by just not using things. This is on a personal level. I think I don't know if people might have more experience with that. I think.
so that is,
Um,
I think, a great ending, because and it's a very important topic. Everybody wants to see
mhm.
the data. That's where we fight everywhere with, because the assumption is ecological plus 30% on the
More,
market.
yeah, this is a whole session. I don't know if I put. I mean, okay, so let me see if I've put in anything in here, because in this presentation I usually forget statistics, the actual numbers, so I don't want to give any erroneous information. But no, here I talk about reduction in emissions and resources. But this is a different topic for sure that we can discuss at a different time. But
Yes.
yeah. Um, business models, like we were saying, business models are just so important. A fact here that I give is just you can reduce up to this one here: circular business models, environmental benefits in resource recovery only can save up to 90% in reduction of emissions. So, and not just in emissions, and costs as well. So it's definitely key.
Yes, yes, yes. So I think it's also a wonderful point to close with the session
Mm-hmm.
today. And yeah, to look out for the follow up on maybe showing how sustainability is reducing costs, because
For
it's
sure.
something that we will look at also in terms of architecture. We have a lot of this natural design and systems that are just cost efficient if you do it the right way. So it's really a kind of a perception thing, and being efficient with the resources that we have, and sometimes
Yeah,
it's just simple. So
definitely. So yeah, I'll make a note of that. I will do a post or a follow up
super.
something on definitely reduce it, like because I have the numbers, I don't remember them right now. So we'll definitely
Super.
talk about that. Yeah, thank you so much.
So it was a great pleasure. Also, thank you so much, Lara, for sharing your insights, going through the questions which are essential for any business to kind of assess their impact, creating or inventing or innovating their cycle or their
Mhm.
processes. And hey, let's do more together.
Sure.
For sure, on this cost and sustainability, we always love to hear more about that. And thank you so much for your time, Lara.
Thank you. All right.
And see you on the next one. Have a great day.
See ya. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. See you on the next one, too. Bye bye.